yeah, today we are it's part of the first part of our BalticMuseums Xchange series, where I would like to invite different speakers to share insights and experience, to learn from each other, and everyone is invited to propose other topics and speakers if you get to know someone with an interesting topic, like I did with Nina, who's with us today. Nina, your family name I'm unable to pronounce. Sorry, a lecturer from Finland, from a University of Applied Sciences. And Nina will share her experiences today with on lessons learned during the Lights on mobile app development. Nina, and I will say the floor is yours. We are very interested in hearing about your experiences.
Okay, hello everyone, and greetings from snowy and cold Finland. It seems like the spring is cancelled this year in Finland. Okay, but let's get to the topic. I will share my screen to you. Just a moment to get this presentation on. And I have lots of videos in my presentation, and I will only show you short clips of those, but you will get the link to this presentation, and if you are interested, you can see them on your own, because it would take too much time otherwise to see them all. So, stone cold lessons learned from the mobile game development in Lights on Central Baltic project, which has been going on now for almost 3 years, and we should be ready by September this year. And in Lights on project we have 8 badly ruined sites, cultural heritage sites, which all of them have been magnificent, and there has been great rulers in medieval or earlier times. 4 of them are in Finland and 4 of them are in Estonia. And in Lights on project you now will see the very beginning of our presentation video, where the sites are medieval castle ruins.
Culture have been in constant interaction since the prehistoric time. There are key historical sites on both sides of the Gulf, from where the areas have been ruled and their reigns guarded. But why do many of these sites remain unknown for most? At present, many of the key sites are underdeveloped and fairly unknown as tourist attractions. And they're fascinating.
So that's about these sites. And we had an idea or task. One of our project tasks was to create some kind of play, a mobile game, where you could play with the ruins somehow. And that is not the only thing to be done in the project. We have lots of infrastructure works for these sites, but that's not of our university's tasks. But we had the idea, how could you play with these ruins? And we came along while benchmarking the other projects and heritage sites with this English game where, let's see, a clip. Where you will need to find some locations in the ruins that look similar than in your game. And that was a great idea, and we first focused on how could we realize that idea in our sites. But the issue is with our sites that not all the sites have visible structures left. They are so very badly ruined that especially in the wintertime there's practically nothing to be seen. Just some stones on the ground which are covered with snow. So that kind of game won't work. And the other issue is, what do just the ruins even tell about the history? Well, you can see the structures, but you won't know how the life has been there and what is the point of playing that kind of game anyway. And then came another idea. And that idea was if we could 3D model all of the castles so that the other people could, or the visitors could see how these places were, how they used to be. And yes, then we came to another challenge. It was very nice idea, but we tried to find out how much does it cost, and it was hugely expensive. We totally couldn't afford that with the project money. Making 3D models of these 8 castles would have costed more money than we had in our project totally. And then we came along with the idea that what if you could actually meet the characters, the rulers and the people who lived in these castles and places. So you could actually see them and meet them and greet them somehow, and by that make these places alive. And what did we do? We asked, we solved out who have lived there and how they have looked, and we invited 55 volunteers to be dressed up like these characters, and we did 3D laser scanning of these people to be the models or be the characters to be seen on site. And now just a short clip of that. Just a moment. It's very hard to pull this video. So we really dressed them up the way they used to look. And why did my video stop? Sorry about that. Let's try again. And so there were all these characters from the past, and then now you can see the laser scanning of these characters, and we also took photos of them. And that is how we tried to create these characters, so they would actually look like people from the past. But then came another challenge of that. The file size of these 3D scanned characters were so huge that the participants were not able to play the game properly, not even in the demo version of it, because it just overheated the phones and it took so long time to download. So the technology we were planning to use was not developed enough. It made the characters just too huge. And we wanted to use augmented reality so that you could see the characters, so that in your camera view of your mobile phone, the characters from the past of each side would appear on the side somehow. But for augmented reality, you need some kind of trigger image, so something that your mobile phone or your device you're playing with knows where you are, some kind of trigger image. And because we all these sites are outdoor sites and very badly ruined, there are really no triggers there. We could solve this also by using GPS coordinates, but that takes very easily the battery out of your phone. And that's something people don't really like if you run your battery out very quickly. That was a technique that Pokemon Go used to use, and you know all the Pokemon Go players, they have their extra battery with them, but we didn't believe that someone would like to do that on this historical game. So how did we solve this? We created stories of these sites as comic strip or cartoon boards. They are huge, like more than 1 meter tall, and we will put them on these sites to be seen, and that kind of gamification also to tell about the history of these sites, how they used to be as a way, as more traditional way, but still in a nice way to get the idea of how the life used to be. And then the solution too, for 3D modeling of the characters, we just couldn't use the great lifelike images we had, but we acquired some gamification students to do us 3D modeling of these characters. They look more plastic now, but at least the game will work. And then the solution number 3 was just building up a better story. There needs to be some kind of storyline, not just the thing that the characters appear on site, but why do they appear and why should the people, the visitors, be interested in seeing them or finding the difficulty of downloading the app. What is the point? So we built up the story, and again we used a student force to do part of or big part of the work, and we went on site on one of these sites to test the ideas and see what could be done and why should the participants play the game. And then after testing it out with students, first try out with augmented reality, then we developed the story further. And the story of each side is that something is missing, something very useful is missing that is related to the history of the site, and the participants, the players of the game, the visitors of the place, should try to find it somehow, and they can ask help from the characters from the past. So these augmented reality ghosts from the past will help them solve the task. And then we invited last May first audience to try out the game to learn if it really works. It was far from ready, but we just wanted to be brave and test it to know if the idea is good and if it works with live audience. If they want to play it and if it really actually works. And what we have learned so far is that what we would recommend also to other game developers who are not maybe from the technical side but want to bring some content to a new technological form is to have one main idea. Like here we have now the main idea that you can meet the characters, you can take photographs with them, in these real life environments. And the story or the game or the clue of the game is try to find something that is missing. And you can find that something by going through all the area. And then in the end, after visiting all the sites and meeting all the characters, you have learned something from the past and you have solved the game somehow. And lesson learned number 2 was you shouldn't really start from the zero. Should we start the game development now, we would do it totally differently. Starting from the zero, it really takes more time than money than expected. Now that we know what does it cost, we would create a different kind of game. And on the other hand, the technical development is so fast that should we have the possibilities that exist nowadays, we would create different games. So our main lesson is collaboration. If there is a platform, an aerial platform, what other museums or tourism industry is using, maybe the local museums or historical sites or whatever could join that, because it's very unfriendly for the end users also that you should download several different apps. Or if you decide to do app on your own, we do strongly recommend to use professionals. We ended up using gamification schools. These students, they have some great ideas, but at least we found it very difficult to motivate the students in long term. They just enter one course and do something, and then after a few months you have new students and you need to explain the main idea over and over again. And no one really takes responsibility. Yes, it's a lot cheaper to use the students, but maybe it is wise to scale the idea that you can afford it with the project money you have budgeted in, that you can really use professionals. But here, where we are now, the finishing line is ahead. There will be lights on game, finally. It will work somehow, hopefully well. Hopefully the audience will like it. There will be release of the game end of May or beginning of June. And we will have a survey made of the player end user experiences by October, November, analyze that. So stay tuned, follow our project in Facebook, at least that way you can know when we have released it, and maybe some of you will come and visit us in Finland or Estonia to try out, or at least we will publish a video and then later on a survey how it worked. And that's it. Then it will be game over for this thing. Here it is where I am. So that was my short introduction. So now I'm ready for additional questions or comments.
Nina, that was very interesting to learn, and as we are in the early stage of the project, it's very helpful to have this session now, I feel. Colleagues from Baltic Museums, I'd like to ask you to probably best drop your questions in the chat box so we have no disturbance with the microphones, and I will read them aloud so Nina can answer to them. I hope that's okay for you. And maybe I can start with while we are collecting questions with 2 or 3 questions that I would have. The first one is, how are the sites linked, the different sites? Then what you are referring now, you would do a different game. What would that look like if you could start again now? And if you could send us the survey once you've completed it.
Yes, the sites are linked that way that the both of them have, well, 4 of them in Finland and 4 of them in Estonia are owned by same organizations, sort of governmental organization that owns historical sites. So that is sort of the basement or the practical link, and the thematic link between the sites is that they all have been sort of the sites where Finland or Estonia has been ruled in medieval times or earlier. So there has been a strong ruler that has affected the country totally during medieval or pre-medieval times. The second question, what kind of game would we do now? Maybe do something a bit simpler technically, so that you wouldn't need to download an app for that. If we could find a platform that we could join in, maybe it could be sort of simpler than doing the 3D models of all these characters from the past. Or I don't know how it would be, but maybe sort of at least the process should be simpler. And yes, of course, I will send you the results of the survey. That will be most interesting, how it will be. And anyway, in the future, when you start developing your game, I'm more than happy to be part of it and help with any issues or discussions you might want to have.
Great, Nina, that sounds really good. Just to get on to the first question again, the sites are thematically linked and ownership linked, but do you with the game also kind of motivate people to visit the other sites?
Yeah,
are the games connected?
Yeah, the game is sort of that you will gain points by playing one site, and you can sort of be the hero of the game by visiting more sites. And after visiting all the 8 sites, you will be a total sort of king or the ruler, medieval ruler. That will be the idea, that they are encouraged to visit all the sites. I don't know how many people will really actually visit all the 8, but it's not impossible to think that someone might visit all 4 in Finland or all 4 in Estonia. That could be easily done. In Estonia,
Great. Interesting.
It's 100 kilometers in between them, and in Finland maybe less than 200. So it's you could do a summer tour by visiting all of them.
Okay. Thank you. I will now turn to the questions of the colleagues. Carolina is asking, in how many languages do you offer it?
We will offer it in 3 languages, English, Estonian and Finnish. We have only promised to do it in English, but we thought it will be a lot more user-friendly to publish it also in Finnish and Estonian. We will still leave out the Swedish, the other official language, in Finland, and Russian, which is commonly spoken in Estonia, but still we needed to put the limit somewhere to make it ready. But at least the main part of the users are now able to use it in their own language.
Okay, thank you. Then Jakob is asking, what about updating the content of the game, the story, the covered places? And is it possible, at all possible to be done without the help of IT professionals?
Yes, it is possible if you sort of get to use the platform, some kind of platform where you can update the content, uh, for example, via web page. So there are options for that. The thing we have created cannot be updated, and that is something not so wise. But on the other hand, we have created a game-like application where the story doesn't really change. Of course, we will during the summertime see if there are obvious mistakes, and we will update the version for example, in August to to make it work and sort of live longer. But I would recommend to use a platform where you can update it by yourself easily, for example, via web browser.
Okay, and about the IT professionals, you said you were working with students and you would not recommend that again. Do you think it's at all possible to be done without the help of IT professionals?
Well, not totally without IT professionals. I think at least in the beginning, uh, you should, with the help by someone, you should really get to know what are the options of making this kind of game, and make someone to create the basement of it, and preferably sort of not just like we did. We just started realizing first or second idea we had. Okay, let's do this kind of game, and I think it's wiser to study the possibilities and benchmark what others have done more profoundly, to find the best solution for you. What could work the best? What do you actually want out of it? And what are the best technical solutions? And also, I think you also want to create something new, not just copy something the others have done so far. So some kind of balance between those, that it could be easily updated, it's easy to create and use, but still there would be some kind of novelty in it.
Thank you. And Agnieszka is asking that you mentioned we should not start from zero. What do you think should be prepared and collected before the technical development?
Well, I partly answered that already, but it's sort of some kind of knowledge. What do you want to achieve? Why are you creating this game? For whom are you creating it? What is the added value of the game? So why should anyone be bothered to play it? So what is the added value? That is sort of the first thing to be collected and created. And as you are also project partners from different museums and countries, you should really sort of get a common and shared idea what you all want from the game you are creating. And that is not the easiest one. I think that's the hardest ones, because there are a million options. You could do this and that and that. The sky is the limit. Just to decide what to do. That is the hardest thing, I reckon.
Yeah, the sky is the limit, and the time and budget in the project as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are the limiting parts of it. Luckily, because
Yes.
otherwise you would just continue developing and developing and never getting anything done in the end.
Exactly. I would have one more question is how do you promote it? How do you promote the app on site and off the site, like online or where?
Well, on site we will put up signposts where people enter the sites. There are signposts telling that there is now a new app and where can you download it and what is the idea. And then online we will promote it in all the web pages and Facebook and different social media campaigns. That will be the promotion mostly of it. And also, for example, one of the sites is an island just outside Helsinki. So we will put the posters in the boats and where the people are waiting for the boats, so they have time to download the app if they get interested. So just quite basic. And of course, we try to get the media interested. That now there is some new game, at least the local media with the sites which are located in smaller, less populated areas. I think those newspapers will be happily make some promotion for us also.
Okay, and I was just wondering, as you said, on the boat, one of our museums is also located on a peninsula, so it's accessible by boat. I just wonder how the internet connection there to download the app, and also on the site. How big is your game now in internet?
There is internet connection. At least the place that is on island is just out capital of Helsinki, so the internet connection should be okay. At least the mobile internet connection. And most of our sites have some kind of cafeteria or some kind of place where there is free Wi-Fi, so it's easy to download it with. I don't know the exact file size yet, but it shouldn't take with normal connection more than 2-3 minutes at maximum to download it. So we shall see. And at least in Finland, it's very common that people have these unlimited mobile connection, so they can download as much as they like. But also in most of the places for tourists and etc., there are nearby places where you can enter the free Wi-Fi. And playing the game can be done offline. So even if you're a foreigner, you don't need to do roaming. But once you have downloaded either in hotel or in cafeteria with Wi-Fi, you don't need internet connection to play the game.
Okay, that's very interesting. And I guess for Estonia, the prerequisites with a lot of good internet connection is the same, right?
Yeah, I think the Estonia is even more advanced. The free Wi-Fi in Estonia is sort of a common right. It seems to be all over the places. Most of the cities have free Wi-Fi in all the places. Actually, in Estonia, there's just one of the sites is so remote. It's really middle of the forest. So there it can be difficult to find a place to download the game unless you have done it in advance. But that's something we just need to live with, because sort of at least 7 of the sites are within the good connections.
Okay, Nina, thank you very much. I was just asking in the chat box if there are any more questions from my colleagues. Let's wait a little moment if there's any more coming in.
And I just did put my email in the chat box, so should you have any questions later on or anything you would like to ask, how it went and what to do, what not to do, just drop me a line.
Okay, then thank you very much, Nina, for your time, for your presentation. It was very interesting, and thanks a lot for your offer to stay in touch and keep this exchange in future. And we will have more sessions like this. So if there's an interesting topic you are interested, you are always welcome to join. I can send you a link who's presenting next, and maybe that's also interesting for you.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting, and please keep me informed. How does your development go on? It will be very nice to hear. How do you do there?
Great pleasure. Okay. So, thanks everyone for joining us today. I will finish the recording now. And then, yeah, I hope to speak to you soon. Bye bye.